Greetings and welcome to When the Moment Chooses You. I am your host, Coach Charlene, and I am excited, like really excited, but I can't jump up and down to have Mona with me, one of my Curitas sisters that I met at the Curitas community event that we had in July. Welcome to the show, Mona.
The pleasure, the privilege, the honor is mine, Queen Charlene, and you are more than a Karita sister. You are just extraordinary, and I love you. Thank you so much for inviting me. And
Oh, you're
I
so
know you've
sweet.
invited me before, and things were going on, but I appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, well, I am so honored that you've taken the time to just give us some because I'm telling you, the way that I met Mona, she was speaking at our event in July, and her presence, I mean, just everything about her, my heart instantly connected with what she was saying, and so I was like, I am going to go up and find out who this beautiful queen is, and so that's how it was. And then when I talked to you, you just start speaking life instantly. It was absolutely amazing. And then to hear the work that you're doing in Caring Science was just phenomenal. So I decided this month, Mona, to really amplify Caring Science because it truly brought me from burnout to passion and impact where I have been trailing, blazing since 2010 when I started my journey. So I'd love to know, first of all, who you are, and then if you can tell us how did it all start for you at Caring Science?
Well, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And I also remember when I met you, Charlene. We mirrored each other, and I remember I saw myself in you when you talked to me. And we spoke about the creed and how you created your own creed. And I just knew that we
Yes,
were more than Cretus sisters, perhaps soul sisters. Um, but you
yes.
you spoke life into me and gave me the confidence
Mm.
to go forward with it and to do what I have been doing and to continue because I am a newbie. And that was my first conference, and actually it was my second conference, but my first conference presenting. So that was it was
I would
extraordinary.
never would have figured that that was your first time. I
Yes,
totally wouldn't. So you were a natural.
absolutely,
So
absolutely was my first time presenting. That is the truth. But no, I thank you and appreciate you, and I very much remember very distinctly our first time meeting. It was very profound, and actually, it's being rewounded as we speak now. So, but who I am a nurse specialist in professional practice magnet accreditation department at the University of Miami Hospital Health System here in Miami, Florida, South Florida. And I am also a Caritas coach. I am also the Caritas Council Chair here at the U. Initiated the council in October of 2022, 1010, and our first meeting, Dr. Jean Watson kicked off our first meeting, and it was historic. It was wonderful, and she basically gave it its blessing. She blessed it, and so still running strong into the second year. We have 17 coaches going on, knock on wood, to 24 coaches by the end of November. So
awesome.
expanding. And I first learned about caring science actually. Dr. Watson had made her first visitation in 2014 to the University of Miami. And I was, I don't know what the word was or is. I think I was taken, she just, this is, she's beyond an amazing human being. But I love her work. I read her work, and I thought to myself, I want to be just like her. Um, and then our organization became affiliated in 2020, and I knew at the time that I wanted to be a Caritas coach because that was at the time when we were starting to open up for having everyone enroll or whoever's eligible to become enrolled to become a Caritas coach, and I knew very well that that was where I wanted who I wanted to be. Wanted to make a difference in our health system, but just passionate to learn more about it and how it could benefit not just myself but my colleagues and also patients as well and the world around me at large. um, and so that's how that journey began, and I became a Caritas coach in 2021. And so
Awesome. See, you are so on fire and just totally blazing, and you've just been doing it for a few years. That's awesome.
just just a few years. Yes, and
Yeah,
it's done so much for me actually, and I am very much human. I I am not perfect, but it's the principles, it's the Caritas, the 10 Caritas processes. It's that that rewinding and that rehearsing and that reading and having caring science in the forefront every day. That really helps me to be the best that I can be in my humanness. And
yes,
because
I love
I
that.
can't say, I am not Mother Teresa, I'm not perfect, but I sure do try. And when I fall, I get back up again. And caring science has really helped me with that. I am very faithful. I do believe in higher power. I do believe in God. And in addition to in addition to that, I feel that caring science in a way is a reflection of that, but in practice, in nursing practice, and just being who you are, being
Yeah.
a better human being and a better caregiver, a better care coach and nurse.
Yeah, you know what? That's what I really love about it, because it actually focuses quite a bit on the caregiver
Yeah.
and really who you are and who you're becoming, and it gives you that language. And I love how you just said that, because I absolutely resonate with what you're saying, because love is so humongous, and so much can be accomplished if we really love. That's why my favorite Caritas process is Caritas process number one: to
Yeah.
practice loving kindness toward yourself first, and then to others. And so when we can do that, I mean, all of the rest of the processes comes really awesomely. So thank you so much for that introduction and telling us how you got connected. So in your own words, Mona, what would you say to somebody that doesn't really know what, or a nurse or a healthcare provider that hasn't really been introduced to it? What is caring science to you in your own words?
Caring science, very simplistic. It's really caring for yourself, patients, and colleagues. But with the language that Dr. Watson has provided us, it really connects us to an actual embodiment of a certain way, of a certain becoming. And so, even though we've always been, and we are carrying science in action, and caring for ourselves, patients, colleagues, and the world at large, with the verbiage that Dr. Watson has provided, it really does solidify, um, a stronger practice, a more deepen practice for ourselves and others. And so I would say that's what caring science is. I would say it's already who we are, um, but with the literature, with the
Yeah.
verbiage, with the language that is streamlined and has colored our profession, and even beyond, because this is being taught even for non-nurses. And so that's what's so beautiful about it. It's universal. It's a universal teaching, I feel, that is beyond the scope of caring, the caring professions, that anyone can really apply it. And so I would describe it in that, huge, grand definition. It's all encompassing, and it's all inclusive. So that's how I would describe it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I was wondering, can you go, because she really talks a lot about the caring moment, and so do you have any caring moments that you would like to share with us?
Caring moments, and I would have to ask with who, whether is it with myself,
Yeah,
with a
it could be with
patient.
whoever, but one of those that is memorable for you, that you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'll never forget this moment.
Memorable for me. Let's see. Wow. Hmm. Uh, I've had a patient who was going into CT for a CAT scan for a paracentesis, and she was in end stage of cancer, and she was crying, and we had all the techs around us and a whole group of people, and we're about to get started, and there was a halting there. And basically I kind of like said, okay, we have to this is important. Let's address this first. And I, I asked her, why are you, why are you crying? And of course, she said, I'm dying, and I'm afraid to die, And I hugged her and I cried myself, because I felt her pain. And I said, when we go, there's a higher power. You'll never be alone, and we love you, and we'll take care of you, and if there's anything that I can do, you know, and it calmed her down, and everybody around me comforted her and just embraced her with love, and that moment was just so revolutionary, and it was a huge caring
Yeah.
moment, for myself, for the patient, for my colleagues, and we all just stopped just to be tender to our patient's immediate need, and she calmed down and stopped crying, and we were able to proceed. But that was, yeah, one of the many examples, that has
Yes.
always has always been with me in memory.
Yeah, and that's what I absolutely love about those caring moments. I remember Jean Watson, she calls them biogenic, where they're life giving and life
Yes,
receiving.
yes,
At that moment, that was like totally life being poured in, and you remembering it as well. Those moments are so precious, and I guarantee you, she will never ever forget you and what you did, that team, what you guys did for her. I mean, just from the heart. And that's what I love about Caring Science. We're able to provide the language for ourselves as we do what we normally do. And I love how Dr. Jane Watson says, you know what, you said, you just need to remember. I'm
yeah.
just here to help you to remember. And we do need to be reminded, because we get so stuck in all of the task and all of the work, and then you forget about humanity. So in light of that, Mona, making that authentic connection with your patient, how do you maintain that sense of connection in the face of the busyness, and in the face of, oh my gosh, I got so much to do? How do you maintain that authentic
Simple,
presence?
simple, simple kindness. Simple kindness. We don't have to be extravagant. We don't have to. When I teach caring science, I said, we don't have to be Mother Teresa. Like, simple kindness can go such a long way, and it can speak such volumes, because
Yes.
a lot of times simple kindness is missed, or
Yeah.
it's being taken by the busyness of the day and the demands of the day, and just simple kindness, because it's not always offered, it can mean so much, and it can change somebody's day, your day, the patient's day, your colleague's day, anyone that is connected in that moment or being part of the moment. We don't have to go overboard. uh, just,
Absolutely.
just with a smile, a touch, an intention, which we can very much feel in our hearts. We're all energy. And I always
Yeah.
teach that, when I teach caring science, I always say, this is a bodysuit. It's just a vehicle. But when you unzip this, we're all the same. We're all the same.
That's right.
We're all energy in a
Love
bodysuit.
it.
We're all energy in a bodysuit. So what you think, what you feel, right? What you have in your heart, your intentions, all matter, because we're energy. And so thinking that you can just show up and not, which lead one of the questions is, which one's your favorite? The first one, Caritas Processes, is my favorite, but also the eighth one, creating a healing environment. Making sure that
Absolutely.
we understand that we are the environment, creating the outside environment, and not the other way around, and that we are the healing environment. And we have to start with the first Caritas Processes and all the other processes in order to get to this eighth one, to make sure that we are that healing environment, biogenic, not bioacidic, and bringing that healing for all involved. But we have to do the work. We can't skip the work, and we cannot
Yes.
not be devoted, and we cannot just say, oh, I went through the 6 months of education, I'm a Caritas coach, and not practice. The practice, the daily
That's
practice,
right.
is what
Yeah,
strengthens
absolutely.
us. But it's that simple kindness and understanding that I'm just going to do a simple kindness, and that I have seen with my colleagues, with patients, with myself, with the world around me, neighbors, friends, family. It means so much, you know, uh,
Yeah.
and it's memorable.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's memorable.
Absolutely. I've heard, I don't know if you've heard this from sometimes from nurses, peers that are getting into the work. They're like, you know what, I just don't have time. What would you say to someone that says, you know what, I just don't have time?
No, I love it. I love it. Actually, I address this a lot when I teach. And I say, but you have a few seconds. You cannot tell me you don't have a few seconds. And everybody would look at me like, okay, you got me. Okay, you got me. So, because I look them in the eye and I say, you don't have to, a few seconds. I don't want to hear it. That's not true. You have a few seconds. You have a few seconds to take a deep breath. You have a few seconds to set an intention. You have a few seconds to have that body scan and be aware what's going on right now. How can I repattern my energy? We're not perfect. Nobody is. And I really do emphasize that because I'm human too. And I'm not going to ever come on anything and say, I'm Mother Teresa. I'm perfect all the time. No, I try to do the best that I can. I try to take the education,
Yeah.
apply it to the best that I can. But, if I falter, which I know everyone does, I pick myself up again and say, I'm just going to try again. But to have that reminder, and I do teach that when I teach caring sciences, just do the best you can, but don't say you don't have a few seconds. And I'll teach it and I'll give them the
Yes.
example of doing a micro practice of meditation, and it would be like a minute or 2 minutes. And I'll say, well, actually, those minute and 2 minutes are seconds made up of a few seconds, really. But we did it. And how do you feel now? It made a huge difference from the moment that I walked in to now, a few seconds later. You can do the same thing before you go into a patient's room. You can do the same thing before you start your workday. You can do the same thing before you send out a very important email or go into an important meeting. All of these things, we have to be reminded. It's the excuses. We have to change the narrative. We have to change the narrative and unlearn a lot.
Absolutely.
And in nursing, we are doing that. We're unlearning a lot of what has been taught for generations, and that's where you challenge. And I love when they come to me and say, anyone, especially students, when I'm learning, oh, we don't have the time. I'm too busy. I have two jobs and this and this and this and this and this. But you have a minute to eat, right? You have a minute to use the bathroom. You have a minute to shower. You have a minute to drive, or maybe many minutes to drive. You do have it. You're just saying you don't. So let's rephrase that.
Yes.
So that's
Absolutely.
that's my answer to that.
Hey, that's a good answer. I tell you what, that would make me get my head on straight.
Oh no, Charlene, they all look at me
Okay.
like this when I say you do have a few. Don't tell me you don't have a few seconds, and it's always the same look. It's priceless. So yeah, yeah. But
Yes.
when they think about it, they're like, yeah, she's right. You know.
Yes. Got it. Mona, nursing often involves putting others' needs before our own.
Yes,
How do you prioritize your own self care and your own well being?
that's a good question. Because just as like everyone else, I do have that challenge. And yes, even though a Caritas coach, and yes, work in professional practice and magnet and all, with my recent experiences of losing my mother, my father-in-law, and I recently had my own personal loss, a miscarriage, but nobody knew about it.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mona.
Thank you. Uh, Within 5 months span, I uh,
Mm.
I would take early mornings. Early mornings, I would wake up a little extra, and for myself, um, talk to God. Talk to my loved ones, and that feeds me. And setting intention for the day. Setting it. What is it that I want to create for today? What is it that I want to achieve? What is it that I want to accomplish? But what can I do for myself today to bring comfort into my body? Because
Mm-hmm.
certain things that have happened, comfort in my mind, and creating a safe space for myself. uh, the early waking up in the morning, talking to God, talking to my loved ones, praying for them, setting intentions for my work, what it is that I want to achieve, but doing little things for myself. Um, Lately it's been watching my favorite shows, which really in the past has not been. Um, Eating out to certain places that I enjoy, making sure that when I go out, I do wear whatever makes me feel good, because that's self care. Just for this
Yes.
time, and as we go, and I've noticed as we go through different stages of our lives with different experiences, whether painful or pleasurable, we change along the way. Let's say
Yeah.
last year, Or the year before, it would have been yoga every single day. Right now, because I am dealing with some things physically, I can't really do that right now, so I'm finding other things. So that's important to understand too as we evolve and as we go through life and become challenged um, with certain circumstances. Our self care is going to change. Our self care needs are going to change,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's okay. But whatever
Yeah.
speaks to you, whatever fits, that self care model for yourself, what fits for you now, that's what's most important. That's what needs to be addressed. And understanding that as we move forward, next year it may be a whole different thing. Next month it may be a whole different thing. But
You
just
know what? I love how you said that. That's so important because we're not cookie cutters, and we there are certain seasons in our life where there was a season in my life where I had to learn how to say no and not taking on so much and becoming overwhelmed, but trying to achieve, achieve, achieve. And I was like, you know what? You need to just take care of yourself and start saying no. And that was self care for me in that season. Because if I had not done that, I would have continued the burnout and lose the meaning that I once had. And so I like how you really explain that because it is in different seasons. In some seasons, guess what? I'm hurting so much that I'm just going to sit in my suffering and be okay with it for a moment. And then I'll shift into another season. So thank you for showing that, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know it all just because you know, we are practicing. I mean, caring science allows us to practice and to be able to do any of those things. Quite honestly, when you're practicing, it really does. It allows you to sit with another person in their sufferings. It allows you to grace for yourself when you need to take a pause. And so, I love how you explain that. That's beautiful.
oh, you're very welcome. It's true. That's something that I've learned, and it's funny because I would have myself talk and say, "Wow, Mona, like maybe a year and a half ago, this would not have been the case, but because your needs have changed, this is what is being tailored. This is what you're tailoring to your needs right now. So be it."
Awesome.
And I'm like, it's okay, it's good, it works, it works.
Yes. Well, that's great. That's great. And I'm glad you're taking care of yourself in that
Thank you
way.
so much, Charlene.
In the coming years, what do you see for caring science? Like just in the future, what would you
Mhm.
like to see
In
happen?
general, like at large,
Yeah, just at
beyond the
large,
University of
visionary.
Miami, beyond. Okay, I see it going worldwide. Worldwide. When I say that, beyond medicine, beyond nursing, beyond the scope of caregiving, into politics and into law, and I've seen that for a while. I see it also in education, in teaching little children, starting from kindergarten and elementary school and all the way up to college. I don't just see it for caregivers anymore. And I've actually mentioned it to my director, to Lori Gonson, and also to Jan Anderson, our previous um, former director of the Watson Caring Science Institute. Yeah, I've had that vision for a while. I see it speaking to many
Mm,
lives and many souls and many professions.
that's good. Man, can you imagine going into the elementary schools with our babies?
World changing, life changing. If you can get them when they're small, forget it.
Yes.
Forget it.
Yes, that's their formative years. That's when they become who they're gonna, the foundation. So that's beautiful. I love that vision. Um, and then, of course, Mona, I love to ask my guests three wisdom gems from
Nice.
like it would be Mona's top three. But
Wonderful.
okay, wait, before we do that, I want you to speak into somebody's life right now. There's a nurse
Oh,
or a healthcare worker out there and they're stuck. They don't know which way to turn right now. So I would love for you to speak whatever's on your heart into that person that may be coming to work, but their lights are on, but nobody's really home. They're just going through the motions because of whatever the impact has been. But they need a awakening. So speak to them for me.
you know, um, perhaps we were all at one point there, and maybe for even a brief moment, maybe some longer, I would say connect with the self first, yourself first. You know that which is in one of my three gems. Um, Connecting with the self first and falling into basic kindness, simple kindness with the self, and then for others, and understanding that we're more than a physical being. We're you know, we're spirit filled, as Dr. Watson would say. You know, our patients are spirit filled. We're spirit filled. Our colleagues, you know, and you know, Caritas number 10, being open to the mysterious,
Yes.
you know, multidimensional aspects of our creation, and understanding that this is just a temporary experience and this is a temporary moment, and you're so much more than this moment. And your life, I mean, it's just a little bit of what is waiting outside of that spectrum of maybe the blinders that we have on, you know, every single day. So you're not alone. You know, we all have that, but to have that bigger view and understanding there's so much more out there for you. Allow the love in for you, for yourself, you know, so that as a side effect, right? And as a yeah, as effect, you know, others will be impacted as well. But definitely giving that gift to yourself first, making sure that, you know, give a little love and kindness. I think when we connect with
Yeah.
ourselves, we're able to redirect ourselves, we're able to awaken a little more, and then we're able to see our path a little more clear. It always starts with the self, and
Yes.
we're worth it. We're worth it. We're worth it. And that's
Yes.
something that's so important for nursing and nurses to understand. And that's an unlearning too, where it's, you know, and that's where that comes from. The struggle is we haven't unlearned that we are the value. We are the beacon of light. You know, we are more than just a unit of labor, as Dr. Watson would say. We are spirit filled. We're soul filled. We're a gift to humanity, and understanding
Yes.
that, and by understanding that, you know, a lot can be unlocked, a lot can be unlocked. And definitely becoming unstuck, and definitely becoming you know un, unshackled, you know, um,
Absolutely.
from the
That's
situation.
beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Now let's get the rest of your wisdom gems then.
Okay, so I did write them down, and I did mention one before, and actually with the self love would be my first one. Self value. We are our
Mm,
first reference point to any relationship. If we do not connect with our emotions, if we do not connect with ourselves, we're not going to be able to do it with others. And our whole lives are defined by the quality of relationships that we hold, that we nurture. And it starts with that reference point of the emotional intelligence that we have with ourselves. What do we do when we become frustrated, when we're upset, or we're not feeling good, right? Do we go on Amazon, buy something we don't need? Do we go on TikTok? Or do we sit, you know, we've all done it. Or do we sit with ourselves and say, hey, okay, I'm not feeling really good right now. What's going on? And digging deep, understanding that we're worthy of that digging. You know, let's
yeah.
not be taken by the social media and by the 10 million checklist and reliving yesterday and having anxiety about tomorrow, but being here now, and adding value to ourselves, loving ourselves enough to address what it is that is bothering us, or addressing what it is that is holding us down, shackling us, or tying us down, or making us feel stuck. uh, Loving ourselves enough to say no, Charlene, like you said earlier, the gift of no. You know, I know there's the gift of yes, but for us women, the gift of no is really good. Because
Yes.
we're yes people. We're yes
Yes, we
people.
are.
Us women, you know, we're mothers, we're wives, we're nurses, we're caregivers. My God, we're everything to the world. But what are we to ourselves? And the more we give ourselves, the more we're able to give to others. So it's not a selfish concept. No, it's
Yes.
more of a life-giving concept. It's a biogenic concept. But again, we have to unlearn. We have to unlearn the previous teaching, or stereotype typical way of thinking. It's important. Self-love, self-value. That is
Yes.
paramount. That's where all the good stuff comes from. because we can't give what we don't have. If we don't love ourselves, if we don't value ourselves, if we don't respect ourselves, if we don't appreciate ourselves, we cannot do it for another human being.
That's
it,
right.
it, it, it can't work. It can't. You're pouring from an empty vessel, you're pouring from an empty cup, and that's not possible. So self-love, I feel, by itself can fix a lot of problems we have in the world at large, globally,
Absolutely.
with all that's going on in the world. It starts with that and connecting with the self and understanding we're more than just this human experience, and we're all connected. And this is just a
Yes.
bodysuit, and it's not,
Yes.
and this bodysuit is not going to always be here, but our soul, our spirit will always, be here.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. Wow, what a rich conversation. I absolutely enjoyed it. You were saying something, and a quote popped up while you were saying that, a lot about the unlearning. And so I think his name is Paul Coelho, but he said maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming, but it's about unbecoming
Oh,
everything that's not like you until you become who you were destined to be. And
wow.
so that unlearning that you said that several times. So to me, that's like cutting away those layers, those heavy burdens that keep shackling, cutting away self-doubt, cutting away, whatever that negative voice that you keep listening to, cutting that away so that you can become who you were destined to be. You were already it, but
Yes.
life has poured all of these negative things upon you and you decided to take it in. And so now it's time to unbecome it. I am unbecoming this shame that has been carrying me. I'm unbecoming this unforgiveness. Just cutting all of that off so that you can be free. And I love how you said to get those shackles, loose those shackles that are holding you down. So that is so powerful. Your message is so powerful. I am so juiced today just with speaking with you.
Me too.
And I hope the listening audience is absolutely blessed and transformed, really, because I did this podcast, Mona, because I was starting to lose meaning with my heartbeats. I found a quote, so I had to go into my secret place and to say, okay, Charlene, just like you said, what's going on? Why are you losing the joy? And then I was just scrolling through, doing some studying, and I found that quote that I always say, and it says that, what is it? You don't die when your heart stops beating, you die when your heartbeats have no meaning. And so I recognized that I allowed my heartbeats because of stuff to stop having meaning. And so my quest for 2021 was to find those meanings again. And so I launched the podcast in 22 July, and I'll be 2 years old. So I've been on fire.
Happy birthday. You're a little baby, a little toddler, but it's beautiful little toddler. It's giving, life and information and inspiration to all those that listen to you. It's so necessary and beautiful. And what you're doing is sacred, Charlene. What you're doing is beautiful. You are a
Oh,
vessel of light, and full
thank
of
you.
wisdom and beauty. And you said, I felt royal today, and I said, well, you're royal every day, Charlene, and that's who you are.
Yes, she did.
You're a royal queen. You're a royal queen, and your work is royalty, and it's sacred, and it's
Well,
important.
thank you. From one queen to another. Thank you for touching humanity the way that you do. I'm so honored to have met you, and we're connected forever now. And so, thank you
Absolutely.
for being on the show. And if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, Mona, is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Would
Okay,
you
how
want me?
can they get in touch with you?
Sure. I can give my number or email, or yeah,
Are
social
you
media.
okay, what about an email or
Email.
LinkedIn? Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
which one would be easier for you?
The I have the I think it's Mona Elshazly Gerard. Um, yes, so Mona Elshazly Gerard is my LinkedIn, but no, I we could do the email.
Okay.
We could do the email. I think the email
Okay,
would
let's
be
give them
better.
their email then.
Yeah. So do you
Okay.
want me to say it? Do you want me to say it here
I'll
or?
actually do this, Mona. I'll put your email in the description of
Okay.
the YouTube.
Okay.
video, so that way if they want to contact you, they can reach out. Because I mean, your presence, your essence of who you are is so impactful. Like I could feel you through the screen, and
Wow.
so
Thank
it's
you.
extremely powerful. So I know people are gonna probably want some encouragement, because I'm telling you, you need to have a Mona next to you. She'll be empowering you every day.
I can definitely try. I can give it a try. Let's see,
So
But
thank you again.
you're welcome. I wanted to just
Yes.
I wanted to just say the other two real quick. Wait, I said self love, self
Okay.
value,
Yeah. Please do.
and then the simple kindness definitely speaks
Uh huh.
volumes, which I had mentioned earlier, and then
Yes.
daily reminders of,
Mm,
of what it is that we want to become, what it is that who we want to show up in the world, and what we want to see in the world, but through us. So being that person that we want to
that's
see in the
beautiful.
world, I believe Gandhi stated that, and also it was in Michael Jackson's song, Man in the
Yes.
Mirror. So definitely, being that person that we want to see in
Yes.
the world. So those are my three gems.
I love the fact that you talked about kindness so much, because the world really could use much more kindness. And so thank you for the essence of who you are. Thank you for touching lives the way that you do, serving humanity,
Thank you,
serving in the
Charlene.
education space. I'm just so thrilled to be a part, and I can't wait to see you, because I'm coming to Florida so we can kick
Yes, yes, I can't wait to see you too. And
it.
congratulations on your designation, the first in
Thank
the
you.
world to have it the first time where it's gone through. You've made history. You're pioneers. You're epic. You
Yay.
made. I mean, it's historic and beautiful and an inspiration to us. So
Yes,
thank you.
and I wish you guys well. I know it's going to be a done deal. We're calling it
Yes,
done already.
yes. Amen. Thank you, Charlie. Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Have a great day. Thank you for
You too,
listening.
Charlene. Take care. Okay. Bye bye.
I want to thank you for tuning in to another inspiring episode of When the Moment Chooses You. I'm your host, Coach Charlene, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Each journey we've shared today is a reminder that when the moment chooses you, the possibilities are endless.